Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have, yet most people underestimate it. When someone leaves you, especially for another person, the instinctive reaction is often to panic, to seek answers, to fight for their attention. The mind goes into overdrive, replaying every interaction, searching for what went wrong. You may feel the urge to text them, call them, or confront them in some way, anything to make them see the mistake they've made. But here's the truth. The more noise you make, the more validation you give them. The moment you react emotionally, you confirm their decision. They see you hurting, they see you struggling, and in their mind, it reinforces the idea that they had the upper hand in the situation. Now consider what happens when you do the exact opposite. Imagine them expecting a dramatic reaction from you. Tears, anger, desperate attempts to pull them back. They assume you'll reach out, that you'll chase, that you'll make it known how much they've hurt you, but instead they're met with silence. Nothing, no calls, no messages, no cryptic social media posts. Just a void where your energy used to be. That silence doesn't just confuse them. It unsettles them because silence is loud. It forces them to wonder. It makes them question, did you ever care? Are you really okay? Have you already moved on? Suddenly, the certainty they had about their decision begins to waver. They expected to see you broken, but instead they see nothing at all. And that nothingness, that's where their mind starts playing tricks on them. You see, people crave reactions. When someone leaves you for someone else, a part of them expects to feel important. They want to feel desired, missed, and even superior. Your pain fuels their ego. It reassures them that they held a special place in your life. But when you remove that reassurance, when you take away their ability to measure their importance in your world, you strip them of their sense of power. They start to wonder if they mattered as much as they thought. At first, they may not notice your silence. They're caught up in the excitement of their new situation, enjoying the thrill of change. But over time, that excitement begins to settle and their curiosity grows. They might check your social media, expecting some sign of sadness, but instead they find nothing. Maybe they hear from mutual friends and realize you're not even talking about them. You vanish from their world without a trace. And that's when doubt begins to creep in. Doubt is a powerful thing. It can take the most confident decision and slowly unravel it. They start replaying their memories with you, wondering if they made a mistake. Because here's the truth. When something is too easy to leave, people assume it was never worth much in the first place. But when they leave and realize that they were the only ones who lost something, that's when the regret starts to build. Your silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront the reality they created. When they don't hear from you, when they don't see any sign of emotional breakdown, they start questioning their choice. They wonder if you've already replaced them. They wonder if you were planning to leave them all along and they just happened to make the first move. And this is where their new relationship starts to feel less secure. Because in the back of their mind, they're now carrying the weight of a doubt they never expected. You might think that silence means doing nothing, but in reality, it's the most active thing you can do. It is a strategy, a statement of force that shifts the balance of power. When you remove yourself from the equation, they no longer have access to your energy, and that absence creates a void that can't be filled by anyone else. The new person in their life might seem exciting at first, but now there's a comparison in their mind. You versus what they chose. And if you handle your silence correctly, they will start seeing the cracks in their decision. Silence isn't just about what you don't say, it's about the space you create. It forces them to deal with the emptiness they created. It makes them realize that you were never just an option to be replaced. That realization, however, doesn't come immediately. It happens slowly over time. as they start seeing the reality of their new situation. Maybe the new relationship isn't as thrilling as they thought. Maybe the excitement starts wearing off. Maybe they realize that the connection they had with you wasn't so easy to replace after all. The moment they begin to feel that emptiness, their mind starts reaching for what was once familiar, but by then, you're already far beyond their reach. When someone leaves you, it's easy to feel like you've lost something valuable. Your mind naturally fixates on them. Where they are, what they're doing, whether they're thinking about you. The thoughts consume you, taking up your energy, your emotions, and your sense of peace. You may find yourself checking their social media, asking mutual friends about them, replaying old conversations in your mind, looking for clues as to why they made the decision they did. But all of this does one thing. It keeps you trapped in their world. It keeps you attached to a situation that no longer serves you. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the more power you give them over your emotions. The only way to break free is to shift your focus back to yourself. Instead of spending your days wondering about them, turn all of that energy inward. Make yourself the priority. Ask yourself, who do you want to become? What areas of your life have you been neglecting? What goals have you put on hold while investing in a relationship that no longer exists? These are the questions that begin your transformation. Because the truth is, most people lose themselves in relationships. They start prioritizing someone else's needs, someone else's schedule, someone else's dreams, often at the expense of their own. But now you have the opportunity to reverse that. You have the chance to give yourself all the love, attention, and energy that you once poured into them. This is where real growth begins. You take back your mornings, your mindset, your health. You start reading again, exercising, working on projects that inspire you. You surround yourself with people who uplift you instead of dragging you down into negativity. You establish new habits, new routines, new goals that align with the person you want to become. And as you do this, something incredible happens. You start to feel good again. You start realizing that your happiness was never tied to another person, but to your own sense of purpose. The more you build yourself, the less you think about them. And that's when the real shift happens. When they left, they expected you to be broken, stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and sadness. But what happens when they see you thriving instead? When they hear that you've been leveling up, glowing up, becoming even more magnetic than before, it forces them to rethink their entire perception of you. Because most people expect to be missed, they expect to be chased, but when they see that you didn't just survive without them, you flourished, they begin to question everything. This isn't about revenge. It's not about making them jealous or proving a point. It's about reclaiming your power. The person who left is no longer relevant to your journey because your journey is now focused on becoming the best version of yourself. You shift from waiting for their validation to realizing that your validation comes from within. You stop seeking closure from them because you've created closure for yourself. And once you reach this level of self-mastery, nothing from the past has the power to pull you backward. There will be moments when the old emotions resurfaced. There will be days when the memories creep in, trying to pull you back into that place of longing. But when those moments come, remind yourself of this. You are not the same person they left. You are evolving, growing, expanding into someone stronger, wiser, more focused than ever before. And as you continue down this path, you'll come to a powerful realization. They didn't leave you. They freed you. Indifference is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. When someone leaves you, the expectation is that you will react emotionally. They assume you will be devastated, angry, or desperate to make them reconsider. They expect to feel important, to feel that their presence in your life was so significant that their absence leaves a void. This is where most people make the mistake of feeding into that expectation. They cry, they beg, they send long messages expressing their pain. They overanalyze every interaction, trying to make sense of what happened. But all of this only reinforces one thing, that the person who left still holds power over them. The moment you react, you confirm to them that they still matter. But what happens when you do the opposite? When instead of showing pain, you show nothing. Indifference is the art of taking away their power. It is the ability to move forward without allowing their actions to dictate your emotion. When they see that you are unbothered, that you are unaffected, it shakes their perception of themselves. Because here's the truth. People crave validation, even from those they leave behind. They want to feel like they made an impact, that their absence is felt. But when you show indifference, you rob them of that feeling. You force them to question their own importance in your life. At first, they may not notice your lack of reaction. They are caught up in their new situation, enjoying the novelty of a new connection. But over time, when they realize you are not chasing, not reacting, not showing any sign of hurt, a strange thing happens. Doubt begins to creep in. They start to wonder why you are so calm, so unaffected. Did they misjudge your emotions? Were they never as important as they thought? The mind hates uncertainty, and when you refuse to give them a reaction, you create that uncertainty in their mind. Indifference is not just about ignoring them, it is about truly detaching. It is about reaching a point where their actions no longer influence your state of mind. This is not an act. It is a mindset shift. You do not pretend to be okay while secretly hoping they will return. You genuinely step into a space where their choices do not concern you. Because the moment you stop needing their approval, you take back your power. You free yourself from the emotional chains that once kept you tied to them. People always want what they cannot have. When you are available, they may have taken you for granted. But when they see that you have removed yourself, that you are no longer accessible, they begin to reevaluate their decision. The attention they once received from you is gone, and suddenly their new situation does not feel as fulfilling. Because now, instead of feeling like they moved on from you, they feel like they lost something. They start questioning if they made the right choice, if their new situation is truly better, or if they underestimated your value. The beauty of indifference is that it shifts the power dynamic without you having to do anything. You do not have to send messages, make dramatic gestures, or try to prove your worth. Your lack of interest speaks louder than any words ever could, and that silence forces them to face a reality they were not prepared for. The reality that you were never dependent on them to begin with. Indifference removes the emotional fuel that keeps their ego alive. It strips away their ability to feel like they're still in control of your emotions. And once that control is gone, they are left with nothing but their own thoughts, their own insecurities, and their own realization that they may have made a mistake. People assume that love fades with time, but often it is indifference that truly ends it. Because as long as there is emotion, anger, sadness, resentment, there is still an attachment. But when there is nothing, when they look at you and see that you have completely moved forward without them, that is what truly unsettles them. Because now, instead of feeling like they left you behind, they feel like you left them behind. When someone leaves you for someone else, your first instinct might be to prove yourself. You might feel the urge to show them what they lost, to demonstrate that you were the better choice all along. The mind naturally gravitates toward comparison, wondering what the new person has that you don't, questioning why they seemed more appealing. It's a painful cycle, and if you're not careful, it can consume your thoughts, keeping you trapped in an endless loop of self-doubt. But here's the truth. The more you focus on them, the more you give away your power. The real shift happens when you remove your attention from them entirely, not just in action, but in thought. It's not enough to ignore them externally while still obsessing over them internally. True detachment means mentally and emotionally freeing yourself from the need to compare, to compete, or to prove anything. Because when you finally stop worrying about what they're doing, who they're with, and how their new relationship is going, something powerful happens. You reclaim your energy. You stop feeding into a reality that no longer includes you. You stop participating in a game that was never worth playing in the first place. What most people don't realize is that focusing on yourself is not about proving a point to them. It's about stepping into the version of yourself that no longer cares whether they regret leaving or not. It's about becoming so immersed in your own growth, your own evolution, that their choices become irrelevant. When you redirect all the energy you once gave to them back into yourself, you become unstoppable. This isn't just about moving on, it's about rising above. It's about transforming in a way that makes the past seem like a distant memory. You start setting new goals, elevating your mindset, improving your health, and surrounding yourself with people who bring real value into your life. And in doing so, you naturally begin to glow in a way that is undeniable. This is what true self-improvement does. It makes your presence felt without you having to say a word. People can sense when someone has leveled up. They can feel it in your energy, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you no longer seek validation from them or anyone else. And this is where the shift happens. The moment they realize that you are no longer waiting, no longer hoping, no longer attached to their decision, they start seeing you differently. Not because you tried to get their attention, but because your evolution made them question their own choices. This is why focusing on yourself is the most powerful thing you can do, not just as a response to them leaving, but as a permanent way of living. When you build yourself up to a point where their absence no longer matters, you become untouchable. And the irony? The very moment you stop caring about whether they notice is often the exact moment they do. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who is fully content on their own. The best part? This transformation isn't just temporary, it's a shift in identity. You are no longer the person who waits for someone to realize your worth. You are the person who knows your worth and moves accordingly. You are the person who understands that real power comes from within, not from being chosen by someone else. And once you truly embrace this, there is nothing from your past that can ever shake you again. The biggest mistake people make when someone leaves them for someone else is believing that the new relationship is perfect. The mind plays tricks, convincing you that they are happier now, that they have found something better, that they will never regret their decision. Pictures of them smiling, updates about their new life, the carefully curated highlight reels designed to make everything look flawless. And if you allow yourself to believe it, you will fall into a spiral of self-doubt, questioning your worth, wondering why you weren't enough. But here's what you need to understand. Things are rarely as perfect as they seem. Every new relationship is fueled by excitement, by novelty. It's a fresh start, free from the history, arguments, and complexities of the past. It's easy in the beginning because they haven't faced real challenges together yet. But nothing stays new forever. The same problems, the same unresolved patterns, the same emotional baggage that existed before will eventually resurface. People don't change overnight. If they left you because they were seeking something better, it won't be long before they start looking for the next thrill once this one fades. This is why you must never put someone on a pedestal just because they were chosen over you. Their new situation is not a reflection of your worth. It's a temporary shift, and what seems perfect today can crumble tomorrow. The dynamic of their relationship will change with time. The excitement will wear off and reality will set in. The traits they once found exciting in their new partner may become the very things that annoy them. The things they once took for granted about you will become the things they now miss. And when this happens, regret begins to creep in. But here's the key. You won't be around to witness it. You won't be checking in, analyzing their every move, wondering if they are thinking about you. You will be too busy building your own life, creating your own happiness, reaching a level where their choices no longer affect you. And this is what truly makes an impact. Because when they start realizing that what they chased after wasn't as fulfilling as they thought, they will look back at you. They will wonder if they made a mistake. They will question whether they underestimated what they had. However, by the time they realize this, you will no longer care. You will have moved so far ahead in your growth, in your mindset, in your self-worth, that their regret becomes meaningless to you. And this is where you win, not by proving anything to them, but by proving to yourself that you never needed them in the first place. The moment someone leaves you for someone else, it can feel like an open wound. You may cycle through emotions, anger, sadness, confusion, wondering what went wrong, questioning why they made that choice. But the real pain doesn't come from their absence. It comes from attachment. The mind clings to what was familiar, to the memories, to the comfort of knowing that someone was once there. And when that familiarity is ripped away, it feels unnatural. It's in this space that most people make the mistake of holding on, of resisting reality, of refusing to let go. But the only way to truly heal is to release them completely. Letting go is not just about blocking their number or deleting pictures. It's not about forcing yourself to stop thinking about them or pretending you don't care. True detachment is deeper than that. It's a mindset shift. It's the conscious decision to stop seeing them as someone who belongs in your life. It's understanding that if they were meant to stay, they would have. It's embracing the reality that their departure was necessary for your growth. Most people struggle to let go because they believe they lost something valuable. They convince themselves that the past was better, that what they had was special. But here's the truth. If it was truly meant for you, it wouldn't have left. If they were truly aligned with your journey, they wouldn't have chosen someone else. And the more you fight against this truth, the longer you prolong your healing. Because healing doesn't begin when you find closure from them. It begins when you stop seeking it altogether. Letting go requires acceptance. It means looking at the situation for what it really is, not what you wish it could be. It means understanding that the version of them you once knew no longer exists. They made a choice, and that choice removed them from your future. Holding on to the past does nothing but keep you stuck. The only way forward is to release all attachment, all expectation, all hope that they will return. Not because you're bitter, but because you value yourself too much to wait for someone who walked away. When you truly let go, something shifts within you. You stop caring about what they're doing, who they're with, whether they're happy or not. You no longer feel the urge to check their social media, to replay old conversations, to seek validation in their regret. Instead, you redirect all of that energy back to yourself. You begin focusing on your growth, your healing, your future. And as you do this, you start to realize that their departure was never a loss, it was a lesson. A lesson in self-worth, in detachment, in trusting that what is meant for you will never require you to beg for it. And here's the paradox. The moment you truly let go, the energy shifts. Suddenly, they start to feel the void you once filled. They begin to wonder why you're no longer chasing, why you seem unbothered, why you've moved on without hesitation. This is what they never expected, that instead of breaking, you evolved. Instead of waiting, you thrived. And by the time they finally realize what they lost, you'll be too far ahead to even look back.